It does look very, very similar to steak seasoning here, but steak seasoning has more like, I think steak seasoning's got like celery salt in it or some shit. One of the two does, I know that much. I don't sit there and like really read the ingredients list off it much, but I can go do that later and like let you know what I've actually been putting in it, but yeah. 1-to-1, the recipe that I thought I was making is not what I've been making. But it tastes good, so, you know, random tomfuckery, and I've made something that's still pretty nice, which is kind of nice. But if it is similar, the taste is absolutely not supposed to go into goulash. Ah, that's funny. Yeah, no. Look, you gotta remember, like, this is my only real experience with an actual goulash, because, like, prior to this, whatever the fuck my mum thought goulash was not this. And whatever you're making for goulash is also not this, but I think I'm doing okay with it considering like I'm willing to make it a few years in a row. Like it was starting to get cold and I was looking at my freezer the other day because like we went through to like check everything's like in date and crap and see what's in there and whatever. And yeah, I was like, man, I could really go for some goulash now that it's getting cold. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm starting to want this in winter. Mind you, I do make it generally pretty spicy, so it is pretty warming overall. Please do, it's interesting. Yeah, so, like, it would basically be like copy-pasting your recipe, but then, like, fuck off out of the way, love. I would probably be, like, just magnifying the amounts that I'm using, I guess. Because I've also been making it as a double batch, so I can have extra, because I don't know how much yours is supposed to last. Oh, finally a level! Hold on, we gotta go the fuck out of here back to town for a hot second so I can actually do my level. Because last time I got a fucking level, we crashed and I lost my level. So I'm not fucking losing it this time. We've had a lot of like game crashes over the last fortnight. And there we go. Now they're all even. Awesome. And we finally got the goddamn level we've been trying to get for the last month. Magnificent. Alright, where are we up to my passive magic? I guess we're up to here. There we go. Alright. Mala, I actually need health. It just tells me how much video is needed for that recipes. Needed is for recipes. Not necessarily, because like if I was to follow a recipe, also no worries, you head off to work. I'll catch you later, Shadow. If I was to follow a video recipe, I wouldn't really be able to see the list of ingredients. I would be able to see like, oh, measurements and size scales and stuff like that. But if something was like, for instance, an allspice ball, and we don't have those here, my brain wouldn't be able to just automatically translate what that goes into and what that's made up of. Because my brain would tell me that I need to now make a spherical ball of spice to add in there, that powder just would not be good enough, you know? So that would be what would happen, is I would automatically go to the effort of like trying to craft the ball to add the ball as it is, you know? Instead of like just adding the ingredients dry to it or whatever. I have a bit more of my coffee now, speak of dry. I don't know if this is cold yet. Yeah, nearly. It's almost cold. It's fucking cold here. Like, I have not been able to get warm in the last couple of days. I'm wearing like multiple layers of clothes and I cannot get warm. It's just not physically possible. It sucks though because I'm not enjoying it. I also don't feel like I have that much like clothing to be sparing for this, because normally it's not like I'm a warm person, but like I usually am fine with just like a jumper, and maybe if I need to. Where the fuck is Eliza? Hold on. Eliza, where are you and why are you dying? Nope, she still died. She must have been in the thick of it. I thought I had a decoy over there, but I guess not. Nope, she was right next to it. Yeah, so anyway, usually speaking, in winter, I normally have like a jumper and I have like a normal, what I wear kind of in summer, but just longer pants usually and some socks. I don't have enough health realistically to dabble in this fight. I need to go back because of Eliza. But yeah, at the moment I'm like dabbling with fucking thick socks and fucking extra pants and fucking 2 tops plus jumpers, heaters on maximum, and I'm still like fucking cold. It's like I physically can't circulate warmth. Alright, I got a bit of touch-up stuff there. Let's go buy back Eliza. So my grief with Eliza is the fact that I was trying to save her and she died. And the problem I've got with that is I wasted a whole stack of health because she obviously must have been stuck where she was and she couldn't move. Normally if you go far enough away, they will just automatically follow you and it's fine. In her case, I need her to follow me in here. I need my decoy to go on the other side of there. So Eliza needs to come and stand up here with me. But yeah, because I wasted all the health, they keep dropping down caltrop kind of catapult things here, which isn't a huge issue. Will you get into battle? Thank you. My Valkyrie's just like walking around like she ain't even fucking trying. Hold on, let me send some of you guys on fire. That can at least help a little bit. Alright, Valkyrie's nearly dead. I gotta admit, it's not struggling as much this week. Like last week, Liza, there you go. Last week, to be able to do anything, I had to actually like quit out of everything. Apart from like my stream and the game. That was it. Usually I've got like a couple of things open to like manage like, what do you call it, redeems and other stuff. Like I only need like a web page open for those, Discord and other stuff. Use internet. Yeah, no, I had to close out of everything. I'm hoping that like tonight just has just the one stream from start to finish. Really nice. Actually, you know what would be really nice is I don't care if I don't get all the way up the hill. As long as I kind of get... as long as I take out Shank. That would be good. Hey, Viking, I see you. Let's see if I can tell how these shakes for to get the water off house. Is it raining where you are? Sounds to me like it's a bit wet. Either that or somebody tried to bath you. I don't assume it's rain though, unless like otherwise. You don't seem distressed. But it's just been cold here, Viking. Like just cold. It's also been really windy actually, now that I think about it. Which is probably what's contributing. There's no cloud coverage to kind of keep the warmth in. God, you lot, there's so many of this in here. Left to right at rain where I can tell happily. I can't imagine that you've just been like bathed or anything. Unless you've just run through like a shower. I don't know. I'm assuming since it's not rain, it's got to be that. Unless it is kind of somewhere where you are, so unless you've been in like a water source. Maybe. That could have also happened. I was realizing that earlier. I know when I said, I think last week, that I mentioned something about, oh, it's summer, so like as a wolf you must be like, you know, blowing your coat and stuff like that. And I ended the sentence by saying because it's winter here, which means it's summer where you are, which means shedding. But yeah, so you've been in a water source. Alright, you've gone frolicking, it sounds like. Looks like you've had a bit of a good afternoon by the sounds of it. A bit deeper up there, let's go back down this way a little bit. I gotta get this corner of the map. You know, I've been a bit busy. Kind of most of the afternoon just cooking stuff. I've been asleep for the last day. Literally. Aside from that, not much else. I had a good sleep though. I don't usually get like a particularly good sleep. Lately like just everything hurts. Which is kind of normal for coming into winter anyway, but still. Everyone's so outside. Place down to have this over both flushes nods. No. And give you some ruffle pats if I can help shake off a bit more of that water. I thought Azula was just in here, but I think she just literally left the room, so yeah, that happens. Alright. There is another group just up ahead. We should be right to take them on because we're just up and around the corner here. I'll put that there. I want Valkyrie to be over there because Eliza is dabbling in death tonight. She really is. So Eliza's like died like 3 times, I think. She just keeps running up into battle. I'm not really receiving Ruffles, pat smiles. No. glad you've had like an enjoyable day, frolicking in some water and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's been like a lake or a pool or something. I assume maybe like a pool. Or something along those lines. Mate, what are you doing? Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back to get more health, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, I have to yawn. Alright, do I have more health on me? This is a best brand of chips. I don't know. I don't tend to eat like a lot of chips, and I don't have like a super specific preference for it. Oh, I might be in a bad spot here. Like, for many years I just didn't really eat chips, and then when I did start eating chips again, they all just kind of taste stale. It's actually really amazing how stale they taste if you like haven't had chips, like packaged chips and stuff, for a long time and stuff. I got that with certain like lollies and junk food and stuff like that, because like I went through like a good long amount of time where I wasn't able to eat any of that stuff. As for like, I don't know, I used to like kind of salt and vinegary chips. I don't know if I can get that thing to land. I used to kind of like salt and vinegar, but then after being sick, after my Crohn's and stuff, I kind of went for more like just plain salt. But I also go through stages where I just want like pure spicy chips. So it really just depends on what I want, but what I change between and stuff. Because like I don't really have any specific preference. I'm not super brand loyal to much. Like Coke's probably the only thing I sort of am, like Coca-Cola. Because if I'm gonna drink soft drink, I want to drink that. But then there'll be a very few and far between times where I actually want to drink something else. So I'll get something else. But yeah. Apart from that, yeah, no, can't think of anything. I did try Twisties some time ago, pretty recently. I think back when we had the cyclone, we got like a bag of Twisties, and that was weird. That was just like, these don't taste like how I remember them being. I forgot that they existed. And then I saw them because obviously during the cyclone there was like almost no food at all at the shops. There was like no water and all sorts of stuff, and we're like, we need something to eat and drink. And yeah, it was an interesting experience. They weren't as bad as like normal chips though, honestly. So I love good chili chip or salty tortilla chip. Okay, yeah, I kind of have to stand on that ground too with like the tortilla chips being like just plain salt. They're pretty good. Like I used to kind of like what's a welcome in fan? I used to kind of like Doritos because they were sweeter, and they were like a softer chip and stuff, but only because like I ate them plain. So I used to quite like, you know, getting the like cheese supreme and crap like that once. But then after having my Crohn's and going through like all the stuff that I can and couldn't eat, plain corn chips was like one of the few things I could. And I used to, for some reason, we used to get CC's a lot, which is like the other brand of them. They're a harder chip, and they're, I feel like, a little bit more salty than sweet. See, my local grocery store goes through like, I think like brand deals and stuff like that, where they offer like a specific brand cheaper frequently. So what I keep finding, come with me Eliza, come down here. I gotta get Eliza over the bridge. There we go. So what I find is, for instance, I like Red Bull, right? You know, the energy drinks, which, my God, I could absolutely do with some of those lately. But my local grocery store will never put those on sale. They will always put V energy drinks on sale. So if ever I really want energy drinks, because I'm not in a position to be just dumping money on whatever item I specifically like, I normally have to just go with the one that I can afford to purchase, which of course would be V. Same thing applies for like any kind of like snacks and lollies and shit like that. It's just whichever one's the cheapest. And my grocery store often has like the one that I don't want cheap. So I only have to eat that. These days, because I just don't fucking eat much, I don't give as much of a fuck, because the amount that I'm spending on the difference between that packet of chips or that energy drink is like 40 cents. And yes, 40 cents can go a long way, but when it's like the one and only thing I eat that fucking week or whatever, or that day, I'm really not like, I'm not wasting that much money in comparison to if I was buying multiple things for a day's worth of food, you know. I don't know how best to explain this other than like, if I was trying to pack out an entire week's budget of food, it would matter. But because I don't eat that much food, it doesn't kind of matter as much. I think that's the best way to put it. I'd rather eat what I want and just eat less. That's the correct way to say it. There you go. Down the sentence. But yeah, what are you up to, Dan? Come in. Also brushes face against wolf brushes, wagging to happily. No. It's a food wagging to happily. You're looking at all the different food choices, Viking. Is there anything that's standing out that you'd eat? Oh god, don't kill me. There we go. I'm actually doing surprisingly great. Oh, lag. Every time it's like massively lagging out like that, I'm kind of freaking out. Because last month, this whole last month, every time it lags out like that, the game crashes. So I'm just a little bit freaked by it. You guys put the decoy, thank you. Yeah, I imagine Vikings all kinds of interested. I would offer you some of the goulash that I made for dinner, Viking, but judged by how incapacitated my partner is, I don't think you want it. I made it very spicy by accident. I fucked up my ingredient ratio. So does everyone, Viking happily. Then looks at chicken, nods. As in like chicken chips or just chicken in general? Because I know you like eating chicken. And Viking's very fond of chicken and coffee. I know that much. But like, I don't know if that maybe signals over into like chicken chips and stuff. I'll tell you what though, like, we have this thing called chicken salt here, which normally goes on like hot chips. And that shit's something pretty decent. It's not like chicken flavored, out of interest, which is probably the most like confusing thing. It kind of tastes like a stock cube. Salty and pretty much exactly like a chicken stock cube, like a bouillon cube.
Good evening.
Except slightly different. But not that different. It's just very salty. That's probably the best way to describe it for anybody that's not Australian. And we just sprinkle that shit over like hot chips, and that shit's pretty good. It makes the chips go green though. So like if you ever put up for like specific food and stuff, it's like a yellowy green, like a turmeric yellow, but with a green tinge in it. So it's really interesting. It also stains your fingers the same color too. So if you've got like one of those like conditions where you cannot deal with like your fingers or your clothes and stuff getting stained, I could understand totally not wanting that. But yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that. I don't think I've got any more arrows in my stash. That's if I can tell happily. Yeah, I reckon you probably wouldn't mind it. It's pretty tasty shit. I might just grab more arrows while I'm here, because if it prevents me from having to... Oh my god, stop clicking cancel. If it prevents me from having to come back as much, that's a good thing. And I can put the rest of my arrows in my stash for now. God, I love the music here. It's so beautiful. It's just like Luke Galane, where I'm gonna pause and listen to it every so often and just like lose myself to the fucking beautiful music of this place. Oh, that's right, there's enemies here. There's a lot of enemies here. Hold on a second, let's go back to this side. Yes, the other thing too is these guys, if you have noticed, they're not immune to fire, which is really nice for a fire type fucking enemy, because I can only use fire. And when they're immune to it, my god, does it take a while. I kind of feel like Nightmare was immune to fire. And I don't know why anybody would be using poison out here, but it does make sense. I actually do think that... I don't actually think you can do a poison type. No, didn't think so. I just had to refresh my brain for that, for just the in case. But like... I imagine you'd be able to buff up your gear, kind of like what I've done with Eliza. Her bow does poison damage, right? So, like, she's not doing damage to these guys, but I am. And don't you fucking hit me with electricity, mate. I am, like, woefully weak to electricity, so every time the catapult hits me and it's got electricity, I'm basically, like, a couple of hits away from death, which we don't want. But at least I'm an 82 now. I was trying to get 82 before we came into Act 5. I was trying to get 83 or 4 before we came into Act 5, but it just kept dying and I kept losing my XP. And yeah, it was basically that way for like much of Act 4. Now we're here. And I get the feeling it's going to take me a few goes to get all the way up and through the mountains and stuff. Like, basically, like, I'll do a section, and then I'll probably have to redo that section, like, the following week. But every time I redo it, if I don't die... Basically, the idea is if I don't die, I don't lose XP. And if I don't lose XP, then I have a chance to beat the correct amount of XP level for my area. Which should make it a bit fairer. I'm not saying it's going to make it even, but it'll make it a little bit easier. It's never gonna be that I'm gonna be running through here like super buffed out compared to my enemies. That's just not how this is going. Like, if I wasn't doing a specific playthrough, I could absolutely, like in my personal time, just go back over areas that I had been and just like run through spots so that we could get a level and stuff, but that's not what we're doing. Oh my god, mate, don't hit me. I could fit one more thing in my inventory there in my cube, but I just want to get these guys dead. Mate, play with her. I love the music in this area though. There's a few areas in this game where the music makes me happy. So in Act 5, very specifically, the reason why this makes me so happy is because when I finished my original, not resurrected character in Diablo 2, the original game, I spent a lot of time replaying through Act 5 with her over years, and that just meant running from the beginning of Act 5 all the way through the end and going again. Kind of thing, like log out, go back in. So for me, when I play in this area, the music just has sounds that I am pretty familiar with for this area, and it kind of just brings back a little bit of happiness with that. It rolls around itchy back like a tahably. No. You're trying to scratch your back as you're like wriggling around. That, I can only imagine that like wet fur would probably get a bit of like a weird tingly sensation as it dries, I kind of imagine. I'm basing this off like the amount of times I've like bathed my cats and their like generalized reaction to their fur sort of drying over time. Because like, I know people will be a bit surprised, like, oh, you know, you wash your cats and they bath themselves. Yes, they do, but sometimes they jump into things that require them to be washed. Like the time that I brought the willy bin inside, and Phoenix just decided to see what that was, and just full sent himself 100% into that willy bin. He required a bath. You know, there's times. And yeah, obviously like when they're unwell and stuff like that, and they're getting better, sometimes giving them a bath to help with the coat is like really nice, and it helps soothe their muscles and crap. So things like that too. But yeah, whenever Phoenix dries, my like 15, 16-year-old cat, whenever he's drying, he looks like a little hedgehog because his whole coat is like really, really short, but it spikes up very consistently, and it's like a hedgehog kind of thing. I needed to go back there for Eliza. But whereas like Azula, her coat kind of like just goes into more of like, you know, like the early 2000s where people would use like wax to kind of spike out their hair, but you couldn't like brush it out. It would go like that. It's a style. I see you peeking, Killon. I see you peeking in here. And rolls back over wagging to happily continues to go full flushes. John's tussle swagging falls asleep. No. Viking's had a big day by the sounds of it. And playing around in some water source and would have been a hot one if he's been out in the water. So, yeah, you get your rest, Viking. You do what you need to do. Hold on, let's put another decoy. There we go. I'm basically out of mana. Oh, I didn't need to drink that yet. I'm genuinely out of mana after this. I gotta go back. Mind you, this little corner is kind of perfect for it. Because apart from all the caltrops out here that, you know, I don't really want to stand on, they're not really landing on exactly where I'm standing, nor Eliza, so we're kind of good. And as long as I keep the decoy over there, what's happening is my enemies over there are hitting the decoy instead of Eliza. Valkyrie's all the way up here. I don't want to move up there yet. Diamond Heart Sash. Stamina. Give me all these things and I'll quickly go back to town because I need mana. I'm actually running out of resources, but not really running out of them without like getting progress, which is really nice. Like basically last week I was perpetually running out of resources like mana and health and all kinds of things because I was basically having to spam through them to stay alive, specifically against Diablo. My god, I used up some shit against Diablo. But we did alright, and now we're here. And we're actually progressing, which is really nice. Sure, I'll probably die up against Shank, but we'll see. I love Kane. He's just like a magnificent man. Absolute magnificent unit of man. Oh man. Anyway, let me go get my extra arrows. I was going to call him like a beast of a man, but I'm like, I think that's almost insulting. But yeah, it'd be nice if I could get some better gear, and I want to get a better bow so badly, but I've got to get the money for it. I've basically got to get, what's that, 2,500,000 gold in my stash, plus, check that out there for a second, plus 820,000 gold in my inventory before I can start gambling for a bow. And we are not that close to it yet. I think we've got like, 1, 2, 3, we've got 1 million. 1.5 million. So we have another 1 million to go in the stash, and then we've got the inventory to start filling up. Out of interest for anybody that hasn't previously seen it, we spent 5 million to get the bow that she's now using, that I upgraded to, and I hated it. I used it for a little bit and I hated it so much. So I went again and I got this thing and it was really not an improvement, but I spent like over 5 million gold trying to get a decent bow, and that's what we got. And the closest I've had to anything better than that is this, which does a higher base two-hand damage, but it doesn't do a higher second side damage, and I can't remember what it downs from, but I think it goes down by about 100 or something in whatever damage it does. I can't remember. I only briefly put it on like temporarily just to check it, but it's my backup bow at the moment, so I at least have something that's kind of equal-ish to this, because it is still stronger than that by a fair bit, my ceremonial bow, which is nice, which means I stopped bringing my ceremonial bow in here, but I still have to keep it because it's got the fucking name on it. So now I have this extra bow that's taking up inventory space. And eventually when I get a name on whatever bow I'm using, if I upgrade from that at any point, it will also take up inventory space. The only problem is I know that I keep two named bows. What do you mean I can't? Can I not go back out? Hold on. Let me just check if Blizzard's still up. Looks like it. Give it a second. Were you trying to cast something? Is that what you were doing? Because it looked like you went black for a second. Okay.
I can't.
Wow, okay. I'm concerned about going back outside if it's doing that, because while I'm in town, hold on, let me go to a trader and open, close an inventory, because that should hopefully save something. I can't quit out because that will reset outside. Okay, and I'm concerned about running outside, but if I can't go through the portal, I'll go for a run, because our last save being in town is now. Hopefully it doesn't crash. But I can run back. I don't care if the portal's not working. I can run back right now. It's a problem for if it doesn't let me in from the other side. So what I want to do is... Actually, let's test it here. Hold on. Okay, I can come home. Can I get a fresh portal?
Good afternoon.
You know, I get the strangest fucking glitches in like all of my games. Can you go back out now? Is there something wrong with where it was? Okay. Weird. Has anybody else had that? Knows what that is? That just happened? I tried to go through the portal that I had much further up the hill, and it said I can't. Like, it tried to like load in and then like pop me back into town. Looks like the game's up, looks like my internet's up, looks like my stream's up. Hopefully everything's still running. But I couldn't go through that portal. Went outside, put a portal up, went through that portal, and came back out here, and it was fine. And the game could still crash, I don't fucking know. So for anybody that doesn't know, for the last month, every time I play Diablo 2, it has been crashing. Mostly because we've been trying to play through the River of Fire, or Act 4, you know, the City of the Damned. And as a result of that, my progress has really stagnated because I have to clear the entire map, I have to get all the areas, and then I have to kill all the things, loot everything, sell all the loot, that kind of stuff. And obviously, when you get kicked out of the game, and you have to load back in, all the enemies respawn. So I have to go backtracking. And then of course I still have to pick up all the loot, and I still have to fight all the things, sell all the things, and yeah, it has been something. Oh hello, there's a dude there. So yeah, because that's basically how the last month has been, especially that point in time where we lost a chunk of the map. It completely erased where we'd been. Yeah, it's made it very hard, especially since this is hell. And especially since my character is like purposely bad, it has made it extremely difficult. So last week I ended up just pushing for like a 6-hour stream out of the blue to just push through and get past the spot that was lagging out. But yeah, we didn't have any portal issues prior to that, or waypoint issues out of interest. So that's all new. Alright, hold on. I'll get you dead while they're working on that one. I gotta admit, her axe is actually really great. And these days, at least against these enemies, she can kind of take 1 or 2 smacks without dying right away. Which is also sort of nice. I do think that could be related to the boots now, though. Because we only got those boots, like, what, last week or the week beforehand? Gave us, like, over 100 defense now, as opposed to what we had before. So, a lot of what we were dealing with was like gear from early hell, if not Nightmare. A lot of my stuff is still from Nightmare. I think my rings have not... I believe this one is from like normal, but it's actually not a bad ring. It's just there's a few points on there that could be better. But the other one's still kind of shit. But yeah, I keep getting like a lot of uniques. I've had a couple of set pieces drop in. There we go. Yeah, some of her up there. I have a couple of uniques. Oh no, sorry. Bring my brain back. Set pieces. But they have been garbage. They've been so low. Mind you, I don't really have much in the way of like buying chance of better magical item or like enhanced money drops or anything like that. I don't have that. When I'm probably past caring about trying to like kill things and gain XP and stay alive and stuff like that, I will probably fuck around with like get better magical items and stuff. But like for right now, just anything that's like advantageous, that's useful. More useful than like picking up special stuff. Mind you, picking up special stuff does mean having special gear to use. It's just a lot of the special gear is usually for like, you know, 180 strength or like 160 dexterity or something, like whatever would be normal for about this kind of point kind of thing. And I don't have those kind of stats right now, so they do not help. Can you guys attack that? I'll just get this little corner here. I can hear you, Bone Guy. He's like lurking up and around the corner. I can hear him. I'll tell you what though, this poison is not helping us. And Eliza, come with me. I know that there's a guy back there, okay? We all know there's a dude back there. He's slowly following us. As long as you can stay near us. Hold on, Valkyrie's almost dead. Hold up. There we go. Okay, pop the decoy back behind us. I don't think he's attacking it that much, but... there you go. Alright. Making some progress. Nope, not that close. Okay. I know I'm kind of using a little bit extra on the health, but if something hits me while I'm being poisoned and somebody else hits me at the same time, I'm basically dead. Like, almost then. I had 2 arrows coming for me, I was on health life, poison was still going down, and like fucking electric bolt or something hit. And I'm like, oh geez. Okay, you go up and play with them, I will take out these 2. If Eliza decides to creep forwards a tiny bit, we will absolutely make some progress here. Alright, good beans. This is going pretty well, actually. This is going a lot better. Let me say, it's going a lot better than what I was expecting this area to be. Because when I came through here on Nightmare, this was an absolute hellscape. Ironically, this was more hell than it was nightmarish. And I am out of health, so we're gonna have to go back in a second. But yeah, hell is being kind of nice. All things, you know, considered. I still want a better bow. I can still hold out hope to have a better bow. Mate, we'll kill you in a fucking minute. Have some patience. This guy over here has been following us since the corner. And he's like, you know what, if I just keep pushing forwards, I'll get into that battle. But you know what, that's not how it works. Okay, now my only concern is whether or not the portal will say no for me going back out. But it's not like a really big one or anything. We have a charm to identify. I always look forward to charms because, especially single charms, because I want to throw out a lot more of my triple charms. Replace them with something better. And now that I'm in here, like unless I identify and it's like 1 plus the strength, in which case like I might as well yeet that out a window, you know? It should be stronger here. The shit that drops, you know? Alright, let's go have a find out. What is it? 2 plus to dexterity? Fuck off. Dexterity was my next, like, thing. You know how I just said, like, 1 plus the strength? Anyway. Like, okay, it gives you additional dexterity, but fuck off with that bullshit. I'm just stretching my hand a little bit. It's a little bit frustrating because I'll go back to my inventory and my stash, and you can kind of see what I mean with charms. So typically speaking, a lot of people will use very specific charms or, you know, gems and runes and rune words and all sorts of stuff, make their character like specific builds and